The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. Yeah!
Hi, and welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to go over what you should be doing when you're going to bid for service, and if you're the homeowner, what you should be looking for when you're having a pool service company bid for either monthly service or some kind of installation or repair. So I'm going to try to work both ends in this podcast from the pool service perspective and also from the customer's end. This episode of the Pool Guy Podcast Show is brought to you by Jobber. Jobber is your business's command center. The easy-to-use app powers your sales, operations, and customer service all in one place. Go check them out at getjobber.com/im/pool to receive 20% off your first 6 months. So let's start off from the customer's perspective. Let's say that you have a pool and you can no longer do the service for whatever reason, and you're looking for a pool service provider, or let's say you want some new equipment installed and you're getting bids from people to do the work. So what exactly are you looking for in a company when you call them? And of course, the first thing you want to make sure is that they're licensed and that they're insured. So I find it very surprising how many people are running their business out there without a general liability insurance for their business. I know that most of the gardeners or landscapers don't carry a policy, which can be very damaging or dangerous for their business. And a lot of pool service companies do not also have the general liability insurance. What this means is that if there's ever a problem on your property, let's say for whatever reason, the pool service company goes to fill your pool, which they shouldn't be doing, but let's say they put the garden hose in your pool and turn on the water to fill it up because it was low. They forget to turn it off and they leave the service account and the water's running, the pool floods your house and causes $20,000 in damage. Well, if your pool service company does not have general liability insurance, they have no one to cover that damage except themselves. So then you would have to go to court or small claims court, depending on the amount of damages, and sue the pool service company for damages, which is a pretty long process. It's going to take time on both ends of it, and ultimately you're going to win the suit, of course, because they're liable for that particular thing, or leaving the water on, flooding your house. So they'll lose, but you'll have to take them to court and fight them. And on the other side, if you're the pool service provider and you do make this mistake, you're out $20,000 because you have to pay this judgment that the judge is going to rule in the favor of the customer, more than likely, if there's enough evidence, of course, and those factors there. So how do you prevent this from happening? Well, you have to have a general liability insurance policy, and if you're a member of my group, you would get a discount on your policy through SPPA or SPA, and the rates start as low as $69 a month for $2 million in coverage. So there's no logical reason why you shouldn't have insurance, and there's no logical reason as a homeowner why you should even hire somebody to do work on your property that doesn't have a general liability insurance policy. When I hire anyone to do work on my property, whether it be a plumber or a general contractor, I want to make sure that they have the insurance and that they're covered. So I do business with the same people all the time, so I know they're covered. But if you ever get a new company, look online to see if they're licensed and if they're insured. And of course, ask the person that comes to your property if they're insured. And that's a critical point for both sides, for both the pool service provider and of course for you as a homeowner hiring someone. If there's any kind of liability, you want to make sure that someone who has deeper pockets is going to pay you, and that's where insurance comes in. You know, I've been in an accident way back a long time ago. Someone hit me and they didn't have insurance, and so that was a problem because what am I going to do to get the money? So my car was pretty much totaled. The person that hit me had no insurance, so my insurance company just paid for my damages, and they went and sued this individual, personally sued this person. They get their money back, which they're probably never going to get, or never got. That was a long time ago. But so this is what happens if you hire someone that doesn't have insurance and there's a big claim on your property for damage. you're pretty much out of luck as a homeowner, and as a person who's doing the work without insurance, you're going to get sued and you're going to have a big judgment against you that you have to be paying for a long time. So it's not worth stepping on someone's property unless you have the insurance. And again, it's not worth hiring someone without the insurance. I know I spent a long time on that at the beginning, but it's something that's really critical when you're looking to hire somebody. So if you're the pool service company and you're going back to do the bid on the customer's house, what I suggest you do, of course, you have to look professional, have your business card with a link to your website. A lot of guys will have their pricing on their website or general pricing with some exceptions. So it's always a good idea to have that. I think when I hire somebody, I always like to know how much it's going to be right off the bat before I even hire the person. For instance, if I have a plumber that needs to, do some work for me, I'd like to know if it's going to be $99 or $150 or whatever. So pricing is important, and putting it on your website I think is a smart thing to do. And just tell the customer when you do the bid. You can look on my site. I have some general pricing guidelines, but I can look at your pool right now and tell you how much it is to service it every month, and they'll give you a bid right there on the spot. And it's always good to be able to give the customer the price. Now, when you're bidding for equipment installation, you may not have the price up front. And if you're the homeowner and you're having someone do the installation for you, there are some laws in California that limit someone who's not licensed to $500 for installing equipment. In California and a lot of states, you're going to need a separate license to install equipment above $500. Different values in different states, but here in California it's $500. So you'll need a D35 license to install equipment, or a general contractor's license. And for sure, if you're having someone put equipment into your pool, install a filter or pump or multiple equipment, you definitely want to make sure that they have a license to do this kind of work. And so when you're doing the bidding, if you're the pool service provider, assess the pool, look at how big it is. You should have a general idea of how much you charge for each pool size that you're going to encounter out there versus, for instance, if it's a 15,000 gallon pool, you'll have a fixed dollar amount in your head that you're going to charge. 20,000 gallon pool, 25,000 gallon pool. And I know the prices vary per region. I was just talking to one of my group members in Texas, and we were talking about how much we charge here in California versus how much they charge in Texas versus how much they charge in Florida. So it's regionally based, so you have to know how much you're going to charge for your area so that you're not underbidding the pool and losing money on it. And of course, you don't want to overbid it either and have someone come in and get the account because you overbid the pool. So have a general idea how much it costs for service in your area, and then bid accordingly for that fact. I prefer bidding the account and including only the liquid chlorine and the muriatic acid, the maintenance dose every week. And if there's any other chemical that's going to be used, for instance, like the 3-inch tablets, or if they have the salt system, the salt that you would use to recharge it when it gets low, any kind of phosphate remover, any kind of algicide like the Pool RX. If you're going to add any other product to the pool, you would itemize that and charge the customer for those items outside of your monthly rate, which includes only the liquid chlorine and acid. Now, if the pool's getting out of hand and you're putting a ton of chlorine in there because there's some kind of problem with the pool, maybe the equipment or not running the pool long enough, or other factors like that, you're going to have to charge the customer for those chemicals above what would be considered a maintenance dose. Typically, a maintenance dose would be, 1 gallon of chlorine a week if needed. A quart or a half gallon of muriatic acid would be the maintenance dose. Because you really can't make a lot of money out there if you're paying for all the chemicals. Everything costs money. The costs are going up every year. And basically, you make money off of the labor on the service. And if your chemical costs are cutting into that, you're not going to make money because you have to drive through the account, spend time at the account, clean the pool, check the chemicals, and make sure everything's running correctly. So you spend a lot of time there sometimes, and if you're absorbing huge chemical costs on that particular account, you have to pass the costs along to the customer at that point. And also the filter cleaning. Here in my area, we have full-size cartridge filters and full-size DE filters, which means it takes time to clean them. So there's a separate charge for filter cleaning. and it's also area dependent. Some people charge 65, some 85. I've heard people charge over 100 for filter cleaning, and we do this twice a year. So if you're getting a service bid, figure you're going to get, if you're in California, you're going to get the person to bid you for the filter cleaning twice a year also, outside of the monthly service charge. You can of course do a flat rate, include everything in the charge if you wanted to, but I find that charging for the filter outside is better because everything's different. If you have, for instance, a sand filter, you wouldn't charge the customer to take it apart and clean it because you don't do that with a sand filter. Or if you're in Florida and you have those single bullet 1 cartridge filters, you'll probably be cleaning those every month versus every 6 months. So there's a little bit different in each region. I know in Florida it's pretty much a flat rate, including the filter cleaning every month or two. But here in California it's a separate rate. And of course in Arizona and Texas, a lot of those areas charge a separate fee for cleaning the filter. And this happens every 6 months. I wouldn't rely on the customer to clean the filter. I've had accounts before where the customer said they'll take care of it, they'll clean the filter, I'll just do the service, but it never works out. They never clean the filter when they say they do. They don't clean the filter correctly. I had a customer clean his DE filter one time and not put DE back in, and the pool was getting really murky. I couldn't figure out what was going on, so I took the filter apart and realized I didn't add any DE to it. And so I kind of stopped that practice completely. If I have a service account, I'm doing the filter or I'm not doing the service account. And I've said this before, while you're at the account doing the bid, of course, you don't want to touch the equipment. You don't want to show off. And, if you see that the pump basket is full of debris, resist the urge to take that lid off that pump basket and empty out for the client. You haven't landed the account yet. They haven't signed up with you. And if something happens, like for instance, I know a guy that did this. He went to empty out the pump basket, show the customer, hey, you got to empty this out. I'll do this for you when I do the service. He emptied the basket out, put everything back together, turned on the pump, and it didn't turn on. It just started humming. So I don't know if it was not working when he got there, or if he did, it could have just been bad timing. It could have been that the pump wasn't even working properly. Whatever the reason is, he's holding the bag basically because he wouldn't touch the equipment when he's not even servicing the account yet. He hasn't even landed the bid. Don't touch the automated system. You can, of course, assess the equipment, get an idea of what needs to be replaced in the future, so you can see leaks there if the system is running. But typically, I don't really mess with the equipment until after I get the account, and then I can do a thorough inspection and analysis and say, hey, you know what, I noticed that there's diatomaceous dirt going back into your pool. I bet there's some bad grids in there or bad manifold. I'm going to take it apart and inspect it, and I'll let you know how much it costs for that. Or, hey, your motor is getting really loud. I think the bearings are actually wearing out and it's time for a new pump. So things like that after the fact, not during the bidding process. Another thing too is I don't really like when someone's giving me a bid and if my son is there, they start to engage him and talk to him. To me, I think that's just improper. You're there to bid the pool, talk to the clients. If there's kids there, pretty much just ignore them. I think people look at things differently, but for me, and I think a lot of parents, we don't want a stranger to be engaging our children in conversation. Just leave them out of it, do the bid, give them the price, don't touch any equipment, don't show off, and chances are you're going to land the account if you look professional and if you give them a good quote. Now on the flip side, if you're the customer getting the bid, right now you're assessing this person to see if you even like the person. Sometimes you just don't like people when you meet them. I was getting artificial turf bids, and different companies were giving me bids, and there was this one company very well known here in California. The salesman was probably one of the most aggressive salespersons I've ever ran into before. He literally sat down on my porch, like holding us hostage until we signed with him basically. And I'm not the kind of person that gets pressured. I really I was getting a little bit upset inside, but on the outside I held my cool. And I told him, I sleep on every decision. I don't make any decisions on the spot. And he's like, oh, go ahead, take a quick nap, and I'll wait for you to, and you can make your decision. He was that kind of a person, and I didn't like him for many reasons, but that was one of the reasons. He was just way too pushy, besides the fact that his price point was way off base. So, you're assessing the person that's going to be servicing your pool, And if you notice that there's someone that you probably aren't going to get along with because of whatever reason, definitely pass on it. Go with your gut feeling that this is not the person you want to work with. It's just nothing personal. We all have our different personality traits, and sometimes we clash with certain types of personalities, but that's just how it is. So I think you want to get more than one bid, of course, so that you get an idea. My rule of thumb is to get 3 bids for the project or the service. And one of the things that I really don't focus on a lot, to a point I focus on it if it's really out of range, is the price point. I think the person that's providing the service is the more important factor. So if it's, $10 or $15 different in price per month, but you really like one person over the other, go ahead and pay more for the service. You're probably going to be better off in the long run going with the person you like. For me, it's not always a price point when I hire someone. It's the fact that, can I get along with this person? Do I trust that they're going to do the work? Are they honest? Those are really important factors. I use the same general contractor for all my projects on my rentals, and his price point is not the best. It's probably higher than most people. If I were to get another bid, they would come in lower than his, but I trust him 100%. He's the kind of person I can send to do a project without even being there to oversee it, and I can trust that his work's going to be excellent. So I'm willing to pay for that. And I think when you're looking for someone to do work with your pool, which is probably your biggest investment in your house. Some people spend upwards of $60,000 or $70,000 for their pool and hardscape back there. You want to make sure it's someone that's not going to screw it up and mess up one of your biggest investments. So definitely don't overly focus on the price point. If someone's a lot cheaper than someone else, there's usually a reason for that. I would suggest going with the person you think will take care of your pool the best versus the one that's going to do it for the least amount of money. And then on the flip side, when you're interviewing the client or at the house for to do the bid on the pool service or any kind of repairs, you're also assessing if you can actually work with this client long term, because there are some people that you really can't work with. Maybe they're too picky. Maybe they're just like hovering over you all the time, or they're demanding of things that you can't provide. So those are things that you're also looking at when you're getting the account. And you're also, assessing the overall yard and how it's maintained. One of the things that you want to note is the trees over the pool. Do they trim the trees? Do they maintain the yard? Those kind of factors are really important. You can make your job a lot harder if the trees are never trimmed, or if the yard has a lot of dirt in there and they're not taking care of their yard. Those are definite factors also. And, some other variables that I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but of course, vicious dogs are definitely an out. You don't want to do a pool with a vicious dog because they're going to get out eventually and go after you. There's no doubt that they'll find some way out of the house, or if they're locked up, they'll find some way out. Definitely don't do pools with vicious dogs. And you want to also, make sure that the client is someone who will be paying you every month. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I remember I did a bid one time, and the guy told me that he got rid of his other pool company because they put a lien on his house, because he didn't pay his bill. So I was like, thank you for the information, sir. That was nice of him to be honest, but also, that's kind of a red flag for sure. So yeah, you want to make sure that the person you're dealing with is going to be someone who's going to pay you. And you'll find out right away. The first month or so of service, if you're not getting paid, I suggest dropping the account as soon as possible. You don't want to go 2 or 3 months with someone who's not paying you. So there's a lot of things, little things like that you have to be. You kind of learn this as you're doing this business, and as you're doing the bidding process, you kind of learn to pick out these little things, like repo letters on their front door or something. No, I'm just kidding, but you'll see little signs of the characteristic of the person also. And it goes both ways for you and also for the customer. They want to make sure that you're reputable as a pool service provider. You're insured, you're licensed, that you are going to do what you say you're going to do at their account, and that you know what you're doing. And those are important factors for the customer to trust that you're going to do the job correctly. And then on the other end, the customer needs to keep the water level in their pool. They need to keep the yard in shape and other factors like that. They have to keep the equipment in shape. If you walk back there and the equipment is like 30 years old and it's duct taped and compression fittings and all these weird things going on, you kind of get a sense that the customer is not going to be someone who wants to upgrade their equipment, and that pool may be a struggle for you. On the other hand, if the customer says, hey, I know my equipment's getting old, and once you take over the account, I'll probably upgrade a new pump and filter, well, that's the customer you want to get. So those are little things that you want to look out for too when you're doing the bidding process. And so as the homeowner, depending on what you prefer, there are some companies that use employees to take care of your pool, others where the owner will be the person servicing your pool, and it's a matter of preference and how comfortable you feel. There are some benefits of working with a bigger company versus a small company, drawbacks also, so you have to weigh those also when you're considering hiring a company. And so those are all factors too that you have to think about when you're hiring a pool service, besides how the person presents themselves. How is the company run? Is there someone who does dedicated repairs for them? And are there multiple service technicians that will come out and do your pool, or is it going to be the same person all the time? And those are key factors also. So also do your homework on the company to see and ask those questions. The person doing the bid, are you going to be the one actually taking care of the pool? If he says, no, I have an employee that's going to actually do your account, well, you'll have to meet that employee also and see if it's someone that you want to service your pool. Now, at this day and age, it's pretty easy to do background checks on somebody. I don't know, it's kind of one of those hard things. Is it necessary to do a background check on everyone that goes in your backyard? For me, I only do work with people that I know for a long time, so I'll use the same people all the time, and I don't use anyone new unless they're referred by someone that I know. So this is one of those things that I don't know. I really can't answer that for you, but very easily you can have them do a live scan at a UPS store. They can definitely do a live scan for you, which will give you their background. And I'm live scanned myself because I do volunteer work at the church. But definitely you want to have that done. I don't know. I'm not sure how far you want to go in that respect with the person that's doing the pool service for you. So in my opinion, the best way to get a pool service provider, whether it's someone who's going to do repairs for you or do monthly service, is to get a referral from a friend or a relative or someone who's actually using the company already. To me, that's the best. I usually do that when I'm looking for a new service provider for something around my house. I'll ask somebody that I know, hey, who did your blinds for you? Who did this for you? And that way you kind of have an idea that they did work for someone else that you know, and it's not a complete total stranger at that point in some respects. So on my website, I have a list of local providers that could be in your area. You can just go to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, and look for for a pool service provider, and I have them in all different areas. Most of them are members of my group, so they have the insurance, and I know them personally through the group, so they're definitely a company you want to work with. Some are big, some are small. Definitely check out that on my website. You would just click on Find a Pool Service tab, and it drops down, and all the guys in my group are listed by state and city, and you can definitely call one of them to do a repair job for you or to do monthly service. Definitely would recommend somebody on my list for sure. And if you are a pool service company looking for more work, you definitely want to work that referral part of your business. I do some work for my local school music here, and the director showed me the stats. He has some kind of program that shows him where all the leads come from, and I think it was about 30% of all the leads for the school come from word of mouth referrals. And I think that translates to a lot of different businesses also, where most of your leads will come from someone saying, hey, this is a really nice music school, or hey, this guy's really good, he's a great pool service guy. That's kind of how you generate a lot of leads, is with referrals, word of mouth from neighbors, friends, or someone using your services already. So kind of develop that. Maybe offer a free filter cleaning if they refer you to a friend or relative, or just kind of let your customers know that you're looking for more work. And if they refer you, you can definitely give them a free service or a discount on something. And you never know, they may not even think about referring you out unless you actually tell them, hey, I'm looking for more service accounts. If you know anybody with a pool and you like my service, definitely refer them to me, and I'll give you a free filter cleaning the next time it's due. Something like that. And I think this will really go a long way for you if you just work on that referral end of your business, which I think is the best way to get accounts. And for me, I always ask somebody for a referral versus just blindly looking on the internet in most cases. And so if you're a homeowner looking for a pool service provider, definitely check out my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, and I have a list of people that I endorse there. And if you take care of your own pool, you can definitely find a lot of great resources on my website also. And if you do pool service for a living and you need more help growing your business, or if you have problems or questions, definitely think about my coaching program. I keep the rates really low so that a lot of people can join. And for 33 cents a day, you can actually text me in real time and I can answer your questions for you. And for $20 a month, you can actually call me. And there are also a lot of great discounts and benefits from being part of the coaching program. You can learn more about that at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. InyoPools.com has been helping pool owners find the right pool parts since 2001. With over 50,000 pool parts in stock, order online today and have the parts delivered right to your door. Jobber is your business's command center. The easy-to-use app powers your sales, operations, and customer service all in one place. Check the description below to save 20% off your first 6 months.